Kim, tell me about September 9th, 2013.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that was probably the first time in my entire law enforcement career where I left. I went home at the end of the day. That day happened to end about 3 o'clock in the morning, where I was just lost. I had no idea what the future held for me, what it looked like for our community. Paul Butterfield exemplified what a police officer actually is, what they stand for. Paul Butterfield, as a Michigan State trooper, made the Michigan State Police a better organization. Paul was a friend of mine. We worked calls together before I was sheriff and while he served as a trooper. Yeah, I was at the Victory Township Hall at a township meeting at 6:20 p.m. on Monday, September 9th, when Paul was shot. And a sheriff car went by the township hall, the fastest I've ever seen a police car going on a public street. And that was not indicative of how our deputies drive, but he was flying. And I'm like, something's not right. And I left that meeting, and I'd learned through radio traffic that an officer had been shot. And it was not something I was prepared to handle as a sheriff. If you would have told me January 1, 2013, that 9 months later a police officer would be shot by a teenager on a traffic stop in Soil Township, I'd have called you a liar. I would have never believed that. But I'll tell you what, I learned the very best our community has to offer. I remember in the days after Paul was shot, I was sitting at my desk and a car pulled up in front of the office, and a gal got out of the car and she just set a bouquet of flowers in front of our office. And that showed me, I knew at that moment we were going to be okay as a community because, and then she just got in her car and drove away. And never, there was no self-recognition wanted or desired. She just wanted to help us heal. And as a community and as a law enforcement agency, we needed that. And it was a tough day. It was the days and weeks that followed were tough. You know, it was a month later, and it's weird how we grieve. You know, it was a month later. I was driving to the dispatch center for a meeting, and I was driving down PM Highway, and south of Chovy Road. I'm like, I'm going to lose it, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and I sat on the side of the road, and I just cried my eyes out for 5 minutes, and I didn't know why that was happening. But we came out of it a better community. We came out of it a better agency. The Michigan State Police are better for having Paul Butterfield as a trooper, and I'm honored in the fact that Paul died protecting the people that elected me sheriff, and I will never, ever lose sight of that.